Well, here we are in the final quarter of 2024. When is this housing crash that's supposed to happen? Is now even a good time to buy? Should we buy now? Because we know that the market's just going to crash after insert whoever you don't want to be president gets elected here. Everything I'm hearing right now is like, well, I don't know if I should buy because, it might be a crash and then I could get homes at a massive discount when the market crashes, right? It's a good strategy. But how long are you going to have to wait for that crash? It's near impossible to time the market, guys. I've been having this conversation a lot lately, especially with first-time home buyers, because they are concerned. We only know what the news tells us, which is homes are unaffordable, there's a looming housing crash, they have to give their little opinion on why they think it is that way. But no one ever shares this stuff, so you're gonna get it from me because I study it quite a bit. And when I say I study it, I mean I pay other people to study it and then I learn from them. And now you just get it for free, so it's perfect. You buy a house, the market crashes. What happens? Anybody know? Literally nothing. Absolutely nothing. If the market crashes after you buy a house, guess what? You still have a house. You still own it. You still pay for the same mortgage that you had. Hopefully you got a fixed rate, so it's going to stay the same. Literally nothing is different, except for everyone else around you would then have cheaper houses, which in turn would make yours cheaper. Okay, let's look at long-term stuff. Let's look at what a crash could do, or if there is even a crash coming. To do that, we have to look at history. We have to look at what housing has done in the past so that we can kind of see where it's going in the future. And obviously there's things going on today that have never happened in the world. Like back in 2020, we had COVID, which changed absolutely everything. And that actually was a recessionary time frame, which we will get into. But I want to talk about the correlation with recessions and housing, because that will help us understand where the future of housing will be, especially if there is a incoming recession, which a lot of people are saying that there might be one. We've heard talk of a soft landing. I hear that every day, but I watch the financial news and everyone's talking about, yeah, we got a soft landing, the feds are gonna cut rates, this and that. What does any of that bullshit even mean, and why do you care? Well, here's why you care. Let's look at it. Let's look at where we can expect housing to be by looking into the past. More specifically, I want to look at recessionary timeframes, or recessions, right? So what happens to houses, or more specifically home values, when there's a recession? Well, this graph that I have right here goes back to 1960. I wasn't even a thought. I think my parents were barely born in the 60s. This shows the index of actual home prices, what home prices have done in the United States, and then these little darker bars are the recessions. So this is what I want you to look at. We had a recession in the early 60s. Looks like home prices stayed pretty much flat. Every single recession, home values stayed flat, or actually went up. Are we sure that's right? It is right, trust me. Home values typically go up during recessions, except there was one anomaly. Let's look at the most recent recession. Look at the 2020 first. In 2020, what happened to home prices in 2020 during that recession? Holy shit, they went up. Big time, right? Home values went way, way up. But how does that make sense if there was a recession? Well, because everyone confuses recession with housing because of 2008. 2008 was the one-off. If you look at this graph, it's the only time out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 recessionary timeframes since 1960 up until now in the US. One of those times, home prices went down, and that was because of the housing crash and the housing bubble. So I want to share with you today some reasons as to why that happened, what caused that housing bubble, why the market crashed that time around, what's happening now, and then you can make the decision for yourself based on that information if you think there's going to be another housing crash. So let's get into it. Self-explanatory there that home values went down during 08, because guess what? 2008, anybody could get a loan. Absolutely anybody. I wasn't in lending in that time frame in my life. I was too young. Anyone with a pulse could get a mortgage back then. They were just handing money out right and left. They didn't care. There was hardly any regulations around mortgages. It was just ridiculous. But that wasn't the only problem. Let me explain a little concept called supply versus demand. When there is a lot of something and not that many people want it, what happens to that lot of something? It sits there. Nobody wants to buy it. When there is not very much of something and a lot of people want it, price of that usually goes up. Think about every major commodity that we have. So let's look at housing. More specifically, let's look at the housing inventory in 2006. As you can see here, it is a very backwards graph. You can see in this mustard gold looking color, we had a ton of houses available for sale in 2006. They were building homes like crazy. There was tons of them. But how many household formations were there? Now, what's a household formation? Your kid turns 18, moves out of the house, needs to get his own place, whether he rents, whether he buys, no matter what his living situation is. If he's leaving your house to get into another house, that is a household formation. Married couple, been together for 5-6 years. They get divorced. One of them has to move out, get another house. That's a household formation. These are things that they look at. So all of these are data points. Again, I don't have all of that information here, but it shows you where I get it from. As you can see, in 2006, not a lot of households being formed, yet tons and tons of homes were being built. Now, if you fast forward in this graph and look back to, it only goes up to 2022, you'll notice household formations are much, much higher. We've had more formations and less completions year after year after year consistently since the year 2015. And this graph doesn't go all the way up to 2024 yet, but what can we expect? If you're in the market for a house, or even if you've just been searching, there's not a lot of for sale signs. There's not a ton of them, depending on where you live. Problem number one, right? Inventory. Right now, we still do not have enough homes to meet the demand of people that are being born, that need a house, that need a place to go. Self-explanatory, easy picture here that we have a lot of people that want to buy houses, but we still just don't have enough of them to keep up with even the amount of households being formed. What does this cause? This causes a lack of supply, but a high demand. So that's why we can continue to see home prices go up unless that changes, right? As data changes, things change. But as of right now, that's not the situation. Now let's take it a little bit deeper, right? Let's also look at births. So statistically, your average first-time home buyer is about 33 years old when they buy their very first house, on average. I've helped first-time home buyers that are 50 years old, 20 years old, 22 years old. Like, I've helped every range. I actually helped a guy, I want to say he was in his 70s. First-time home buyer. Just know that the average is 33. So when looking at averages, we want to look back 33 years. So again, I want you to look back first 33 years from 2006, right? So people born in 1973. You'll notice a massive drop off in 1973, which means less people were being born. Anybody know why? When they legalized abortion. Just a fact. Don't know where you are in the matter, but that is a straight fact of life, and that could be a cause of it. Now, let's look into where we're at now, right? Let's look into the 1990s. 91, 92, that's 33-year-olds now. Quite a bit of births. A lot of people being born. We saw a slight drop off between 1990 to 98, and then it's just been going almost nowhere but up, and then kind of stagnant. So again, this gives us a picture of where we can see the world going based on the population of people. And it is much, much higher than it was in 1973, which means that we still have more and more people that want to buy houses now compared to when they wanted to buy in 2008. It makes so much sense. As there's not enough of something and there's more people, it just causes that price to go up. So again, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but let's just go even deeper into it. Let's look at our existing home inventory as of right now. Again, compared to 2007. If you look at 2007, this graph's ridiculous. Like, there were over 4 million homes for sale. And then for whatever reason, this one only goes up to 2023. It shows just over 1 million homes available for sale. That number's actually not accurate. I went and pulled the most recent one for 2024, and guess what? In the entire United States, it was less than 1 million. It was like 900 and something thousand. So the numbers are even worse from an inventory standpoint, which means now, a year later, there's even less homes available. You think there's still just as many people that want to buy houses? Guess what? There's even more. So we have less homes for sale, more people that want to buy them. It gets even crazier though. The real story. So remember when I said we had like 900 and something thousand homes for sale? Well, the amount of homes that are actually under contract, that are pending, so it means you actually can't make an offer and like try to buy those homes unless they fall out of contract, that number was like 700 and something thousand, which means there's less than 190,000 total homes available for you to buy. It's a stupid low number, stupid low. So once again, very easy concept, not enough homes, too many people, that is only going to cause home prices to continuously incline. But let's look back even further. Let's go back to the 1942. This is where it gets fun. We're gonna study home values and what they've done since 1942 up until, again, the data on this I have only goes to 2022. So I have 81 years of housing data on this little graph right here. In 81 years, how many times do you think home values went down in those 81 years? 7 times. Only 7 times in the last 81 years did we see home prices go down. They stayed flat one year, and then we saw increases for 73 of those years. If you were about to go fight someone, they had won 73 fights, lost 7 and tied 1, and you've never been in a fight before, what do you think your chances are of winning that fight? That's what you're up against when you're saying that there's a housing crash coming. You're betting that you are gonna take down the champ, that all the numbers are wrong, everyone else is crazy, and that the market is gonna crash because you decided it was going to. I challenge people this a lot when I make these videos. I get comments like, well, there is a housing crash. I'm like, okay, well, why? Tell me what you think it is. And my favorite response is, well, what goes up must come down. Huh? The fuck is even that? Like, no. Gravity, sure, yeah, absolutely. You throw something up in the air, it's gonna come back down. But like, home prices, just because they've consistently gone up doesn't mean they're going to come crashing back down. I'm explaining it all here. It's all here. We have all the data. Prices were up in 2020 and 2021 does not mean that the crash is coming, because look at history. If you look at 1943 all the way through 1947, prices were up, compounded 118%, and then they went higher for 43 straight years. And then in 1974 through 79, they were compounded again 93%. Then prices went higher for 10 years before only going down 1% in 1990. So yeah, home prices did drop by 1%. Then another 14 years of consecutive increase in value. They went up in value for another 14 years, and then everybody loves to focus on that little baby anomaly between 2007 and 2011. And to be fair, I'm living proof because I bought my house, my very, very first house, right smack in the middle of that number. 2009 is when I bought my first house. Was that the best time to buy? I think it was. I lost value in my house for what, 8, 9, 10, 11, for 4 years. Was I stupid for buying that house? No. My son's actually behind the camera right now. I raised him in that house, found a family in that house, and then when we finally decided to sell it, it made me enough money to buy this big old house. People are probably saying the same thing right now, that it's a bad time to buy because we did see a little bit of a drop in home prices in 2023. They did go down a little bit, but guess what? Here we are, end of 2024, and they're already back up. I love when people challenge me on this, so hit me up in the comments, give me a call, give me a text, whatever. If you do want to look at what your options are for buying, maybe you could buy today and you just don't even know that you're capable of that or what your options are. That's what I do. I help people, first-time home buyers, buy homes with very, very little money out of pocket. If that's your scenario. If you've got more money, even better. The more money you have, the better when it comes to the options you have and what you can do with buying a house. But if your excuse right now is that you don't have enough money to buy a house, you don't need a lot of money to buy a house. On average, my clients need less than $3,000 total when they buy their first house. Yes, even in Arizona, California, Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, even in Virginia. In every market, this works. Down payment assistance is available. You actually don't have to be a first-time homebuyer in many cases to get down payment assistance. So whatever your excuse is, bad credit, no money, maybe you're self-employed, you don't show enough money on taxes, I have options for pretty much everyone. And if I don't, I will tell you what you need to do so that you can get in a home. I promise you it'll be valuable. I promise it'll make it worth it. And the sooner you can get in, the sooner you can take advantage of the next 43 years of consecutive appreciation in homes. I don't know if it's gonna last that long, but I feel very strongly about housing. I really do think that it's gonna continue. I'm living proof of just the past few years of what I've been able to do with it and how it's been able to better my life. So if you'd like to do that for yourself and start really learning about how homeownership can make you money, get you into a house, and start changing things for the better financially, give me a call today. You can book a quick appointment on my website. You can check out any of my socials. I'm happy to chat with you. I'm a very open book, and I'd love to make it happen for you today. You got this.